meeting to order. We pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Give a moment of silence for all those who have given so much in responding to various emergencies. Thank you. I disabled the camera so no one can see that I'm not in uniform. Do we want to kick the minutes over to next meeting?
We can approve from here.
Can we approve? Okay, are there any changes?
I don't have any. I also want to make a motion relative to the agenda. Motion to approve.
I approve. Jenny Clinton.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
I abstain, just for the record.
Yeah,
I wasn't at the last meeting.
Thank you. Did you want to?
I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add new business after number 5 and before number 6.
Okay,
So after the promotion and before public comment.
So after 5 and 6, I
Yeah.
approve, I second that motion.
all those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it.
Do you have a package?
Three pieces of paper.
No.
No.
Sheila?
Is there another package?
You take mine.
Here. Okay.
Thanks. Mr. Gillis, is there a motion?
Would you like,
to-
I would make a motion to approve the promotion of David Gillis to master mechanic effective June 24th, 2024.
I second that motion.
Human Resources Director already.
I'm sitting next to you and I can't hear you.
Sorry, the Human Resources Director sent a letter, that's what I'm sorry, I didn't print it out. There was a letter to Mr. Gillis from her, appointing him effective that date, which was kind of shocking to me, because
Right.
I think that's our job.
But can we approve Mr. Gillis and then under new business address that?
Sure. Is there any discussion of Mr.
The letters
Gillis'
in here.
qualification? Thanks. Here's.
No discussion.
Just a quick, this is the gentleman that we were hoping to have, right?
He's currently the mechanic.
Currently the mechanic.
Yeah.
This
I'm
would
just
be
confirming
his
that.
background.
I thought, the
We
name.
thought he might interview very well.
Well, right, exactly.
Can you give us?
Yep, by way of background, we advertised through HR for the position for several weeks. There was a list of 10 or so candidates. They whittled it down, interviewed 5 or 6. There were 3 candidates that did very well, or that did well. Let me just back up. The interview panel were mechanics from Westport, Wilton, and Bridgeport. We chose because there was a Fairfield applicant. Unlike in previous processes, we chose not to participate. The deputy and Chief Sherwood chose not to participate and not being in the room, allow the process to be evaluated by 3 outside panelists, all very well respected in the department and in the fire service. But we also asked HR to provide a representative from HR, and is either going to be the chief of staff from the First Selectman's office, who has done for other departments, sat in as a a process, to supervise the process. So HR made Peter Ritchie, who is the Deputy Director of Personnel, to supervise the process. So he sat in on all the interviews, was active in the discussion afterwards, but was not an interviewer. We came down, Chief Sherwood, the Deputy Chief, and I came after all the scoring was done. We met with the panel. They were unanimous in their recommendation for Dave Gillis to be the master mechanic. And we reviewed the candidacy of the other two as potentials for the mechanic's position, which we are posting now for applications and encouraging those two to apply, although they haven't. We do have 5 applications that have been received by HR to date, and those weren't 2 of them. So I asked Peter Ritchie to reach out to them directly to encourage them. But Dave Gillis was the unanimous choice, and he since joining the department, he was with the New Haven Fire Department Maintenance Division. Since joining the Fairfield Fire Department, he has been quickly a quick study under Master Mechanic Demko, has certainly the technical ability to review and carry the department's maintenance division forward. As soon as we get him some help, he'll be ready to move forward.
Thank you, Chief.
I just want to address the involvement of HR in this process. We did interview or post the position through HR. And when the process was completed, I had asked that Gillis be given immediate notice that he did out number 1, so that he could, be at peace with it and confident. We didn't want him to stew over the weekend, that he'd be waiting. There was some disagreement about the speed that process would take, and unfortunately he wasn't notified right away. I ended up going on vacation out of state and up to Alaska. So in my absence, the offer letter was made to him, and he accepted that offer letter. So there may have been some wrinkles in this process involving HR. If you recall, the process that we envisioned was that the entry-level tests process would move forward. We would have candidates that would go on a list that would be affirmed by the Board of Fire Commissioners, and simultaneously a list of candidates, or a recommendation that you would vote on for the master mechanic. That whole process got upended over the entry-level hiring process, and we ended up, he was given a job offer letter from HR prior to the Board of Fire Commission hearing the matter. So that's a short thumbnail sketch of the timeline.
Thank you for explaining that.
Thank you, Chief. Is there any further discussion? Is there a vote? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. The ayes have it. Congratulations, Mr. Gillis.
Excuse me, Dorothea, the new item, do you want to specify the wording on that? You just said we're gonna add an item between.
It's
New
called
business.
new business.
Anything specific?
That's all we actually need under the agenda. I'll get into it and then we'll have more for you. Thank you for asking.
Okay. New business.
New business. As the chief just indicated, the offer went out from HR in spite of the fact that we know that they know that the charter requires this commission to approve all hires, promotions in the department. It doesn't specify sworn personnel, it's all. Commissioner Burke just gave you the charter pieces. I just gave you a copy of Commissioner Burke's personal response that indicates we're quite startled by the decision for the HR department and Kathleen Simpson to ignore the charter. And I don't think we can let that go without making some further that's not what I wanna do. Some further discussion, and so I propose a resolution. The commission members hereby endorse the letter sent by Commissioner Burke today to Attorney Philip Pires, objecting to HR Director Kathleen Simpson's direct violation of the charter, and request that First Selectman Gerber take appropriate corrective action. Note, since Mr. Gillis did not cause and was in no way part of this violation, the commission voted tonight to approve his hiring retroactive to June 24th. We asked the chair, Commissioner Burke, to ensure that copies of the resolution, Commissioner Burke's letter, and the offer letter to Mr. Gillis be forwarded to the following: Attorney Perez, First Selectman Gerber, and HR Director Simpson. Period. I need a second for that
I would be
resolution.
happy to second that. You read it nicely. Thank you for the explanation, Dorothea, and I second it as a commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
The only discussion, if I could, through the chair, is disappointing that it happened. Because if First Selectman Gerber sees it differently than we do, then why does he need us? I'm being somewhat
Right.
sarcastic, but I agree with your statement. Why would he, I've read the charter, I know what our job is, and we're all very committed to it.
Right.
So it's somewhat disappointing that there's a conflict here, possibly. Would you, I'm just wording my word, I'm trying to use the right words to say disappointing that this ever happened,
I agree.
okay? And I think it's an appropriate discussion that we're having at this time. And I'm certainly, the bottom line is that we have the right individual for the job.
Right.
So we will look at the full picture, and that's the way I, as a commissioner, would look at this. But it is somewhat disappointing that something went askew along the way.
Right, something so basic and I'm told that Kathleen Simpson is actually an attorney.
She is. That's my understanding.
That's my understanding.
But this has to do with our charter. I mean, what our obligation is as a commissioner.
Right,
This is why we're here.
right. Which one would think she would have read?
Well, and we've talked about here
Right.
with her.
That's right. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner? Any further comments or?
Not at this time.
Okay.
So like, would one of the correct acts be like we'd ask to have proof that she's read the charter then? I mean, it's like, it's great, but it's like,
I suppose we could ask for a receipt.
I'm sure she has.
We talked about it with her at the
What
meeting.
makes you certain of that? If she didn't follow it, I would take the assumption that she hasn't read it then, so we'd say one of the things at minimum we'd ask is that she reads the charter.
Well, and if we're gonna go as far as that is, did the first selectman read the charter?
We could ask that too.
It is the second time that they've tried to interfere with
So I'm
our
just-
charter
I
responsibility.
don't know if interferes right where at, maybe just ignorant to it, so we could ask them to educate themselves.
Right.
Right, like we're good at it being non-political, right? We wanna get things done and move things through. So I would love for them to come back to us and inform us that they've read the charter. At minimum.
At least our section of the
Yeah.
charter.
No, they should read
Yeah, but the one we care about is our section of the charter.
When I worked for the town of West Hartford, sorry,
Didn't they provide a letter from the town attorney interpreting the charter?
they provided an earlier letter about the process and the case involving the assistant chief or deputy chief whose contract was not renewed. And that makes clear, they overread that case because it's not a hiring case, it's a lawsuit and the ability to sue a specific set of individuals if the town is your employer, which the town was his employer. But that doesn't mean that they have the ability to get around the charter.
Right, my point is
Yeah.
that they have, and the town attorney has reviewed the charter on behalf of the administration. So this idea that, you know, have they read the charter, not read the charter, the interpretation comes from the town attorney, and he has rendered an opinion, and you have responded to that. But that is the appropriate avenue for the administration to get legal opinion about the charter. Whether we agree with the opinion or not, they have taken that step.
So we're under the belief then that we're interpreting that to say that they don't have to, hiring no longer comes through us?
No. It does.
No,
We're
no,
interpreting
but-
that they choose to ignore the charter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out a way to interpret it other than it, well, perhaps with the master mechanic, it was just so close. I mean, it was just so obvious that they thought it was, to borrow a golf term, a gimme putt or whatever, you know, and maybe they're really pretty close on the mechanic issue, but coming on the heels of stopping us from hiring firefighters, when we had those scheduled, it just, they're not lowering the temperature.
Well, and in March, we had discussions with all three of them here. That the charter responsibility was ours to appoint, is the charter language, all personnel.
Yeah. With some caveats as to your position, but yes.
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 That's a list.
I'm gonna skew here a little bit. Because we're talking about right now, the master mechanic's position and what happened there.
Right.
Well, I would like to know the reasoning on why the first selectman's office thinks it's a good idea not to hire recruits. And I don't know if that's part of this motion in here, that it can be discussed, or should be part of another one. I was not at a previous meeting. I have not read those minutes. I apologize. But I would like to find out at some point in time, what is his reasoning for not hiring?
Here's,
His reasoning.
I think that would be under another discussion, right?
right, and
We
you
could-
do a separate motion
Or we
specifically
can-
asking.
we can put it on next month's agenda.
No, I think we should discuss it, maybe under old business or, cause it,
Well, we don't have old business this month.
okay, we could just open a
Yeah,
discussion.
but like the old 7, to hear and consider and act upon any other
Good,
business.
it can go in there.
That's right.
And perhaps,
And it's a regular meeting, so you can add an item to the agenda.
Yeah, but
We're in new business.
7 covers it.
And another item under new business.
right,
True.
Either way,
Alright,
But let's leave the Gillis this
Separate.
motion separate.
unless there's some completion of the review quickly, I'm not sure what the point.
My interview is on Tuesday,
Okay,
and I know that there have been at least one other interview. I don't know if there are more or not. Privy to that information.
right,
There is the deadline to secure a seat at the fire academy is on or about August 1st. And there is, if they gave us the approval tonight, we would be hard pressed to complete the process by August 1st. We could do it, but it would mean that next week we would have to convene a board and notify the candidates and all of that. So
I
and
just,
there is a vacancy. There is a
But
vacancy.
can I
you just said you
suggest,
have an interview.
can I suggest,
What's that interview for?
Hold on,
The administrative review of the hiring process.
can I suggest we end the discussion
Yeah, yeah.
on the Gillis resolution and then move
Yes.
that to an agenda item?
but so, is there any further discussion on the Gillis resolution? Any amendments? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Any extensions? I'm sorry.
Nope.
The ayes have it. Okay,
I will email you the language.
thank you.
Now the question is, do we want another agenda item?
Do we want another agenda item? Do we want to, can we go into executive session for this, or is it a personnel matter?
I don't think we can go to executive
No,
session,
'cause we didn't
because we're not
notice-
mentioning any names.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about the process of
Yeah.
hiring.
Yeah,
We're not
I don't
talking
think we
about-
need to go into executive session.
Okay,
So under new business, can we add another agenda item?
what?
Well, we just listed new business, we didn't list specific agenda items?
So do you want to be subsection?
Or do you want to bring it up under 7?
I don't care, whatever the body feels is proper.
Let's have a new bullet point for the new business, how's that?
How about under 7?
Okay, I'm good wherever it is.
Okay. No.
Are we on item 7 now?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Killing me here.
Sorry.
So item 7, to hear, consider and act upon any other business that shall come before this meeting. As I said before, I was not at that previous 2 meetings. I couldn't attend due to illness. And I was wondering if there was a discussion and what the discussion was and why the selectman decided that he was not going to fill those positions. Did he give us a reason?
He did not give the commission a reason. When this first came up on the eve of the start of the interviews, thank you. I started trying to communicate with the first selectman via every method but smoke signal. And I did get some responses. He was here to meet me, he's not sure everything was promised, was done. He's seen votes about those things. Regional board, people do certain things, we try to suggest, control, question. He gave me a transcript, an automated transcript by Google, which was very hard to read. I then just watched on YouTube the hearing. I think a lot of items were discussed. I think
Which hearing are you talking about?
the hearing.
March 31 commission meeting.
Oh, okay.
March commission meeting, right?
The
March
one that
commission.
the first selectman was actually at, which I believe that's correct.
Okay.
So I rewatched that. There were a lot of possibilities that were suggested. I personally reviewed some emails that indicated that the chief reached out to HR. HR responded on some of those suggestions, some went forward, some seemed to kind of die on the HR vine, as it were. And essentially, to make the process more open, the cost of the exam was cut by over 50%. The firefighter app was joined, which gives greater visibility to people that knows. And also the people who often become firefighters are the kind of people who work out regularly. So flyers were put in gyms where young people would frequent and work out. And that was some outreach that was undertaken that seemed to have HR approval. I don't think the other ideas really were given HR approval and they weren't followed. And then the first selectman seemed to be concerned that we don't have more members of minorities in the department, and he seemed very concerned about that. And he wanted a review of our entire process. And he brought in outside counsel. That's what the chief is referring to in terms of an interview. He's concerned about our liability and also just our following best practices, I guess. I think these are legitimate questions. I don't think these are a good reason to stop.
what is a good process, has served us well, has not landed us in litigation, and has given us a quality fire department. Is it possible without having somebody come in from the outside and say, when you do these things that are good, you could also do these other things that are better, you should do these other things, that we would then have a bigger outreach and perhaps get a better response? Yeah, that's entirely possible, and that would be a great thing to do next time, in my view. But I don't think you stop a good process for an ongoing fire department when you had good results, have not had any lawsuits, and have now we know we're gonna have a shortfall of at least one officer and one firefighter, and we may have more. And I mean, I literally remember all the debates about because we can make them stay for overtime, but you know, there was a time when interns at the hospitals worked, you know, long shifts, and they asked the existing doctors why that was. And well, I did it when I was younger, so they should have to do it too. And people pointed out, well, yeah, but these long shifts are literally killing some of the patients. And they kind of changed some of that. And I went and looked, and there is some indication that if you have people work too long in the fire department, that's also bad for morale and safety. And it may also cost additional money to the town, but that's not our concern. The morale and the safety are our concern. And I brought that to their attention. So that's where we are. And that's all I can tell you. So
And also there were numerous requests for a direct conversation,
yes,
and none of that happened. He would not talk to us.
yes.
I just, something's not right.
As part, I just, because I'm not as new as I once was, but still, I'm getting. Does the first selectman have the power to stop our interview process as we're in charge of hiring?
Well, technically, we're in charge of hiring. The problem we had though was because we do the joint interviews, the word came from, as I understand it, the director of finance. So the firefighters would not be paid who were at the interviews. So they do have the power to stop us that way,
And also to not process the hiring.
and perhaps they're not right. So, I mean, to some extent, we're sort of in a bad marriage here.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, it baffles me,
Right.
you know?
You're not alone.
If it's a finance reason, okay, we wanna leave these open, that's one thing. But, you know, from what I'm gathering, we weren't given a sufficient reason why he didn't wanna do this.
Correct.
And not a considerate, borderline mature
Right.
time frame to cancel. I get it, like if like a month or two,
Right.
we're like, whoa, we gotta review this process. Okay, I get it. I took part in this process last year, and I've been telling my fellow commissioner what a great experience it was, and I didn't keep stats in my head, but it was a pretty diverse crew last year.
Right.
In gender and ethnicity and race and what have you. It was a mixed bag. It was great to see. And high quality people came through and unbelievable interviews. Like I was super
Very
impressed.
difficult making that decision when you're scoring.
Right.
And I was like, wow, like these some impressive people, right? So I don't know if we have the best I'm not saying that, you know, but wow, we had some really good people there. And so I don't know, I just am befuddled at a last minute
Right.
cancellation, and I wonder, like, did that cost us money? Did that, like, I don't know, is there analysis done there, like, does that?
Certainly embarrassed us.
The poor people like probably booked plane tickets and train tickets and hotels and, you know, what have you, and
I believe the person who had to field those calls is here.
Yes.
I mean,
True, absolutely, 100%. I just had a call the other day from another candidate asking about it.
Right.
Yeah, these people like.
It was a black eye for the town.
yeah,
And remember, they were here in March. They committed in March to making sure we made the interview schedule. And then would not talk to us from March until now, or at all. not even till
The
now.
only thing that I can kind of glean from it, I think this is a genuine concern on the first selectman's part, and I don't think it's an entirely illegitimate concern.
No, not at all, no.
But I don't think
It's
the
not the way to
way you
handle
run a big organization after, you move forward in a certain direction. And if you don't think they're doing enough, then you tell them, look, next time you have to do more, you have to do better. You set higher goals, and those are all things that I encourage them to do, to no avail, so,
Well,
So a couple things here, one, it's very autocratic, right? And it's very dictatorial to us, and you gotta trust your commission, that's why we exist, right? So, that's one, and if it's like, we wanna be more informed, and we wanna learn more and create better decisions, like, let me go back to that, we used to talk about something that was called a study of our station houses and our population, and where we have a station and where we don't have a station.
Right.
And we finally thought we were gonna get that study done, and whoa, that was pulled. So do we wanna be more informed? Cause I wanna be more informed, I would love to, listen, let's work on learning to review our process going forward. With that, I'd say let's review then where we should have a new station or move a station. Cause I think that's something that the population of Fairfield wants.
well, and it's.
If we're making decisions because we wanna be more informed, that's not jiving with this.
Well, and if he's worried about lawsuits, that's much more likely to trigger a lawsuit because of response time. The other thing is, just so it's noted for everybody, several weeks later, he finally said in some meeting, maybe a selectmen meeting, but I'm not sure where, that he wanted to go through department by department and look at hiring practices throughout the town. Good idea.
Good idea, great idea.
Never talk to us that I'm starting with you, never put it in that context, and quite frankly, to me, it came across as trying to save face.
it's also interesting if you compare the efforts that were made this time to reach out and the effort to choose the new chief operating officer, which was not terribly
Not at all.
broad. If it was we definitely, we've always had a much broader approach than that. So
I run into the firefighter who was a candidate who we agreed had the best interview last year all the time now. And I tell you, what an unbelievable professionally human being. She, local coach, local young woman, and I tell you, like, if that process produced that, we did something right.
Right.
Right, I've heard a lot of complaints about a lot of things, and I don't really hear complaints about the quality of our firefighters. That having been said, any human process could probably be improved.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and but it seems like efforts were made to reach out to HR, some bore fruit, some didn't, and then you go with that, because that's what was supposed to be done.
But he could call you.
Yeah, he could have returned a call to him, to me.
I mean, I wasn't initially called, I think I heard from you.
Yeah.
You called
He
Dorothea
ordered
because she
the-
was on the panel.
Yeah, and we were gonna meet the next morning,
The next morning.
8 AM the next morning, end of day, he cancels.
I promised Ginny a great few days.
Right.
And I made huge arrangements to
Yeah.
be here for 3 full days. I have a full-time company that needs my attention. What Mr. Gerber did is totally against me knowing Mr. Gerber, like I do. And I would like an answer to this. Because he doesn't need me here. I have better things to do if I'm gonna be cut off at the kneecaps. And your response, Liam and Dorothea, I don't recall whether you did it together. I thought it was excellent because your response, your quick response was, here we had a diverse group ready to come, something that a town would wanna have. And the first selectman is questioning what we're doing. His email that came out was heart-wrenching from my perspective. It sounded like we didn't know what the heck we were doing. I will tell you, I read it.
Right.
It made me feel very bad, and I made a phone call to him, and as everyone here could know, he said, you know, I can't talk to Ginny. All I cared about was that he did respond. I emailed him, no, I called him, and I left a voicemail. This is not the man I am a proponent of. So I just wanna understand it, and I still feel very, very strongly that we had such a diverse group. I was very impressed with the process. I didn't understand his about face that I'm gonna cut you off, you're not gonna go forward until this, and this. It made no sense to me from this professional first selectman that I know personally. So I don't know what is going on, and I'm hoping that we can, my goal is to get the firefighters in the chief's employ so that we can move forward as quick as possible. And maybe if we can't, you know, I'm willing to work with you if we could get this done in the next couple weeks. I just have to have enough time to set it up so that I take time off.
So Chief, if you do get the report or something.
It's not gonna
I-
happen, they're just starting interviewing.
I don't know if I'm the last interview or where that process is, other than I have a scheduled appointment at 8 o'clock on Tuesday.
Again, what's the purpose of this interview?
Administrative review of the hiring process.
So this is where he stated he's gonna be doing it with every department. So with public.
Yeah,
Works,
what he
with
later-
everything. So, all right.
Said that.
So we basically,
Wasn't asked of us, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I just wanna make sure, we basically lost this class, like that group,
Yes, definitely.
which is just like, I
That's
mean,
unacceptable.
oh my
That
god.
means-
That's telling all of us.
That
We don't know
means
what we're
any
doing.
hire,
Let's,
any hire will not put on a Fairfield uniform until May of 25.
but hold on, and I don't wanna, like, listen, it's, I get it, we wanna make sure we're protecting this, our charter, our mission, right, but let's not put it on us even. That group of possibly could be the greatest, highest quality hires we could ever have.
Right.
Cause that's really could be it, we've lost
We were
them.
taking
Did we lose them, are they gone?
we were taking the top 30 candidates off of the list in rank order, and interviewing them. I think we went to number 40 to get 30,
Right,
and
to some people we'd already
they will
lost.
receive job offers from other fire departments in the consortium and not in the consortium. They're gonna test to get a job somewhere. So I can't tell you how many we will lose out of that, but we know because they're at the top of the list, they're at top of everyone's list.
So,
And we were acting, the only other department that I knew of that was that had hired off of this process was Westport, and they had reached out and hired several. I hadn't heard of any
I
other.
mean, it's-
I just wanted to-
I mean, it'd be like, but it's like that to me is like, our commission's about
What are we doing here?
well,
finding the highest quality and protecting the town, that's why I said this commission, I wanna make sure we're bringing in.
So if I.
so let me say something, part of our practice has always been to interview as soon after the test as possible. So we are looking at the very top candidates, because we also know that if people know they're near the top of the list, they're likely to turn down other departments so that they can work here.
I call the
We
candidates
lost that
directly and
edge.
say, before you take a job elsewhere, call me back. I'll let you know where we are in the process. You know,
When our
if we're
vacancies
hiring,
come
if
in.
you're number 2 or 3, you know, whether we'll get to you or not. I shared with Liam the diversity in the top 30. I think there were a couple of women, African American, Hispanic, you know, there was diversity in that list. In the total list, 390 males, 24 females, 7 not specified, 324 whites, 28 blacks, 44 Hispanics, 4 Asian, 1 Native American, 8 coded as others, and 12 unknowns. So
Thank you for that.
not perfect,
Right,
but
But
we have
better.
strived to increase diversity from the very first time we started the consortium process. The top line of the process, the purpose of the initiative was to improve diversity in the candidate pool, because communities are like ours, we're not attracting women and not attracting minorities to be candidates. We have started down that process. So if you add up all that diversity, it turns out to be somewhere in the high teens as a percentage of the total list. You know, not perfect, but
Better.
better.
Right.
And we continue to try to make it better. And our hiring, although we haven't hired minorities, we have hired 3 women. And very successfully, and changed what had been a drought for a very long time, so.
I have a question. Out of the 30, 40 names that we pulled off the top, do you have the breakdown of what they were?
Yeah, I said I don't have
There were
it,
at
I
least
don't,
2 women on there.
yeah, 2 women, African American, Hispanic.
I don't
And
have-
the other issue that came up in our discussion with the administration was, and we talked to the commission about proximity to Fairfield. 50% of the candidates that were in that group of 30 live within 20 miles. So an arc from New Haven to Danbury, where 50% of the candidates come. 2 of the candidates came from Fairfield. So when you look at the diversity targets, when you look at the proximity targets, this hit all of those benchmarks,
Well, I think they were,
in my opinion.
they were all Fairfield or New Haven counties.
Yeah.
That's-
And one other issue, just so the commissioners know it, they have raised in various conversations the issue of hiring lateral. And our position has been, we want anybody to go through the testing and interview process. And typically, we expect a lateral, because of their knowledge of the job, to be able to blow the interview out of the park. And so that's fine. Had they approached us and said, we'd like you to interview all of the laterals that are in the first 50 or something, if legal approved it, we could have accommodated the list for that. But hiring a lateral just because they're a lateral, I'm strongly opposed to.
No, because
I got a verbal
you
opinion
you
from
could be
HR.
getting somebody's,
Yes,
you know,
a different malcontent,
People pass trash, right?
right,
And I would say anecdotally, it's not scientific answer, but anecdotally from last year, I thought the laterals were not the highest performers on the interview.
but they have the capability to be the highest because they have the experience. And a lot of our questions are sort of what day-to-day firefighters might deal with.
I was advised by HR that would not be an appropriate way to move forward. And.
The laterals?
Yes.
Yes, I
potential
know,
liability.
But Bill brings it up.
I just feel like with the few instances we're dealing here now, like I don't feel like we're making the town safer.
Right.
I think we're gonna now take a step back with this hiring thing. I put out there, I think we really need to relook at the firehouses, where they stand. And I think we gotta really come together as a commission and really put pressure on to get this stuff done. It's thematic, it's thematic. And we're not like, I don't care who's the first selectman
Right,
in many
right,
ways.
right.
I think collective, we've thought this at times. We've gotta focus on the highest quality hiring and our process of hiring, which has worked, and we defend it. And then 2, we gotta take a look at these fire stations.
Right, and he doesn't want it to
Critical.
because of he's concerned about the political fallout. And at one point I had a conversation with him, well, you know, if we actually decide we need something, maybe we can figure out something on Black Rock Turnpike, and then there's not really a lot of fallout. But the problems and the risk is not going away because he won't look at it.
The
Well,
safety.
I mean, the ideal thing is you find an empty commercial space.
Right,
That is in the right neighborhood,
right,
whether.
I think we're getting off track here a little bit.
Right.
We are.
I thought as I said it, Jill, sorry.
That's okay,
But it's a
which is a
pattern.
conversation we need to have again, but
yeah,
You
it's a pattern of decisions. Cutting out the budget, cutting out the study, cutting out the hiring without approval. It's a pretty bad pattern.
The other option, just aside from a firehouse location, would be just having a maintenance location where the maintenance, because they work out of a firehouse. And to do some of the maintenance, they have to drive the truck outside.
so they can put the top of it, all that kind of stuff.
That's a different issue, but yes.
That would be easier to find. That would also help.
So Joe, I kind of commandeered your question there.
So where do you guys wanna go from here?
Well, I think it was Joe, the.
I don't know where we can go from here, because we don't have any, I mean, we can't come up with any legal authority to do anything.
I would say, can I make a recommendation then?
Yeah, yeah.
I was just thinking this as I'm sitting here. We've had our communication lead this board, which upset other commissioners, we all agree we don't want to ever see happening again. I think we should engage with the other commissioners out here and come
Alex
up-
is up to date.
Yeah, but I think we still wanna get them to say yes, him and Commissioner Sento, and say, hey, you know, you kind of like, we'll just like, you said it there, and I think that's what's there, is it's. The study got kiboshed. The, you know, kind of at the last minute too, definitely last minute to the second, a hiring process got frozen, which is embarrassing, right? And then this mix up, which I was hoping it was ignorance, but I'm told it's not. So, and we should demand a response to it,
And there's a fourth
and we
one.
should have that in writing, sorry, Dorothea.
Yeah.
And we should have it almost like be somewhat out in the public space.
Like a letter to the editor type thing.
I don't know, I would get I want all the commissioners to be,
Well,
Yeah, we have to discuss it.
well, one of the things, and that's why I wanted to discuss it here. And not just send letters back and forth.
Sure.
Because this is being recorded and it's available to the public.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, there's not a lot of people that listen to all the meetings in town. But it is out there, our position has been made of how we feel things should happen. Yeah, I'm trying to cover this commission at the same time. You know, because all of a sudden now, we can get sued because you didn't do what was said in the charter. Well, wait a minute, we tried to do what was in the charter, we were overruled by the first selectman. You know, but again, you know, that would be all fought out wherever. So that's one of my concerns, is we need to make sure everything we do follows the charter and goes up the line, and if it gets axed up the line, we can yell and scream and stomp our feet, but the responsibility and the liability is up there, not with us.
I'd like to ask clarification of the chief. I think there's a fourth item. Didn't he cut out the capital budget?
So there,
$600,000 is the line.
so we don't have any station maintenance money which was the $250,000 a year, yes.
Right. To do maintenance in which the firefighters helped us do it, because it was their houses. So that's the fourth item, by the way.
okay,
It's just,
so
Now, I submit
I'm gonna make a
those,
motion then. I'm sorry, Chief, tell me what you thought.
I just wanna clarify. I present a budget, it's the first selectman's budget.
Right,
You know,
but
for the point of order is, I submit a
Right.
fire department operating budget. The ultimate budget is presented by the first selectman as his budget, which then I defend as the fire chief, but there is a process.
you are the authority.
I recommend,
right,
but
and
ultimately it is. the
that
selectman.
money of basic station maintenance.
And it's
has
been historical for the.
historical, so that we don't get in any worse shape than we already are, because our stations are not in good shape. They're ancient.
So for clarification, could I, 250 was taken away from each station house.
No,
No.
So just the short history, we had, when I came, $68,000 a year in the operating budget for capital repairs, which basically kept the doors open and the lights on. We replaced some systems, but very rudimentary process. We initiated a annual budget of capital budget of $250,000 a year. So that we could do bathrooms, we could do overhead doors, we could do exhaust systems, we could do kitchens, bunk rooms and that. And we've started down that
Make
process.
them co-ed.
And the next step was we asked for $300,000 in capital funding for the repair of the bathrooms at Station 1, which are deplorable, and it got cut.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
So
It's been part of an ongoing plan.
I wanna make a motion that the fire commission sends a letter to the first selectman listing the importance of, and we're helping with this, the wording of this, the station study and how we believe that is needed to properly protect the town. Two, that the first, and I think the language has to say, Liam, in partnership and collaboration. I don't wanna be like offensive or on any type of, it's not meant to be, I like that we're non-political and we wanna just get stuff done. So that's very important. Secondly, that the firefighter exam process,
Hiring practices.
hiring process and practice
Hiring practice.
is worked for this commission
Solidified.
and has produced one of the finest fire departments in the country. And that we invite the first selectman to opine and work with us on it on a, with a time to plan and coordinate other than a minute a day or less than a day. And then finally, that we, and I may be right, demand they follow the town, the charter to effectuate all hiring and offer letters that go out to any employees or future employees of the fire.
I wouldn't even detail it that much, just that.
I open this up to be worked on.
No, right, but just that we suggest, recommend that we follow the town charter or follow what is listed in the town charter.
Okay.
Yeah, all those other points that you made, and then the fourth thing is we wanna see that, we follow the town charter.
And
Three things there.
and I open up discussion for anybody to add anything else to the bullet points discussed.
Well,
Mentioned the mechanic issue.
That was that thing.
That's part of the station study.
No, she's saying like, and so I think I covered that with all hiring, right? No, but thank you. And I think like what I wanna do is like this isn't meant to be a salvo, this is meant to be,
Yeah,
Right,
we wanna work with you.
we look for an opportunity.
We wanna work with you, is I think the message we wanna.
But I would like an explanation why.
We might deliver that orally.
No, I want things in writing.
Okay.
Well, do we wanna like go back to the drawing board on this and bring it back next time when hopefully
Yeah,
we
I
have.
think that might be.
So that was to be, after we were done discussing what people wanted that.
Yeah.
I think the last part of my motion would be, this letter produced Liam, sorry, but you're the best at doing this. Produced by Liam to be reviewed by all the commissioners upon their approval to send. Because I think we got a little bit, we gotta stay as a.
We're asking for a draft.
The discussion here needs to be united, so it's our voice going through you. And I think people felt slighted at one time. I just don't wanna do that again. I think we have a really good working relationship here. I wanna maintain that.
I don't wanna do that again.
The other,
My people always looking at me on that point.
No, it wasn't
I
really.
think it's me.
look at you.
I think the other piece is we would like to have the capital maintenance budget at some level restored.
Right. That's number 4.
Yeah, that's number 4. Specifically in this, for this year, it is, how do you describe it? Renovation of Station 1 bathrooms or?
So.
There is a plan, it was mentioned at the staff meeting today, of, an overarching plan for all of the facilities townwide. Everything from Old Town Hall to
Right.
moving offices from Old Town Hall to Sullivan, other urgent needs in other departments as well as ours. So there is theoretically a plan coming out that would include us.
But we need to solve our bathroom problem.
So
And our co-ed problems for various opening houses.
So do you want me to, I'll prepare a draft for the
Yeah.
next meeting.
And for the next meeting.
Do we need to wait till next year, or can we meet electronically and pass the letter amongst us, or would that be bad?
That becomes a special meeting and it's not a public process.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we could, as long as everybody's fine with that timeline, I am.
Oh, he's not gonna make any changes in the next 30 days anyway.
Right,
He's gonna wait for that.
So originally, we were not planning on having an August meeting. We will now.
yeah, it's on the calendar.
Yeah, I know. That's why we put it there purposely.
Okay.
And that would be August 8th.
Mhm.
I just wanna remind, I know like, it's about creating better collaboration. That's what I think the message we wanna send is like, hey, we're here to do our jobs, and we don't wanna.
Well, what I don't understand is, we have something that works, and I think it works pretty damn good. I really do, and I wanna go off a little bit here, because I wanna ask the chief a question. Through all the consortium groups and everything, is there another town that you know that does interviews as much in depth that we do with civilian commissioners sitting in the interview process, chief officers and rank and file officers?
I don't know anybody that does it the same way that we do. But I have discussed with my peers how well the system worked and described the process that we had that was internal interviews and then separate commission interviews and the disjointed approaches, not just different perspective. And I think the way that I have had concerns initially, how is this gonna work? I am thrilled that this and convinced that this is the best model. By having two civilian commissioners on the board with the broad range of experience and rank that we provide from the department is the best outcome. And the proof is in the quality of the candidates who have ended up hiring.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Chief, do you know what the police commission is doing at this stage?
I think they're still doing the police interview, the police officers interview, and then
And then the
they
commission,
give a list to
Which
the
is what we
committee.
did when I was on it 20
Yeah,
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I started on this commission, there was the interviews that were done by the chief's office. That list then came to us on the commission. We did another interview. And then we were sitting back and forth going, all right, well, this guy came out number one on the chief's list, but this guy came out number one on our list. So by doing this combined thing,
Yep.
we have one list.
We had that conversation in the hallway right across the way, and I remember saying to the commission, you're going to reorder the list just to move a person from one slot to the next slot, up or down? It didn't make sense, and it was, well, what's the purpose of the fire commission interviewing if we're not going to reorder the list? From that discussion, we came to the conclusion that a joint interview process would be much better for everyone.
Well, and just to give you perspective, since I've been around longer than anybody, there was a period when I first joined when the chief thought he could just present a list to the commission and get it approved with no interviews.
And so let me add another positive, that's just a no cost positive. As a commissioner, sitting in that room and collaborating with an assistant chief, a lieutenant and a firefighter, I learned so much myself. It made me a better commissioner. I know I'm not up to Joe's, like I'm gonna get to Joe's level of experience and, you know,
Yeah.
but like truly, I said, like learning on the job, like that was invaluable for me to go through that.
And for them to have a civilian on the board makes them better too.
Yeah.
Well, and I've talked to a number of the panel members that are firefighters, and they've talked about it as career development. And some of them have talked about, I'm blanking on names right now, the need to rotate off so that other firefighters had the experience and the opportunity to develop.
nobody who served on it has said anything bad about it.
Right.
Well, like Joe said, it's broken.
Right.
Okay, so we have a plan that's a resolution to draft and collaborate.
Yeah, and I think, you know, to collaborate and be better and to invite for better partnership.
So, the
we
only
need to
thing,
approve that?
I
Would
would,
include an invitation to the next meeting.
Yeah, I think we should, yeah.
What?
He came to us last meeting.
No, I don't, the whole idea is first to figure out what we wanna say.
Right, right.
All I'm asking is if we're scheduling a meeting in August, do you want to extend an invitation as part of this letter?
no, because
This
we
letter
won't
isn't
have,
gonna go out.
the letter won't get,
We're gonna
approved to
review
go
it
out
and
until
vote on it
next
at the commission meeting.
August eighth,
We'll vote on it.
Alright, that's good.
And it should include an invitation to meet then.
Yeah.
But we wanna be artful in the drafting. Sorry about the
We're
timeline.
just
I know
losing
that's-
another month. I mean, it's like,
Right, I know, but
Well, that's why this is-
as Joe says, nothing's gonna happen in the
If we
next
did
month.
electronically, it wouldn't be.
I understand.
So.
I understand that part. You know, it's just we
Right.
your frustration of, there are things that are
Right,
decisions that need to be made.
right.
Yes.
You can have a Zoom meeting, you don't have to be in person. If you want.
Right.
no, but that would be a special
A
meeting.
special meeting and that's
In
not,
August, if you wanna have that,
oh, yeah,
Oh,
you can do that if you just wanna review that letter.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can switch to Zoom. I think we have to have one person in person or anybody.
I could be.
But I can-
I'd much rather be here in person.
Yeah, all of us decided that even though we could Zoom, we wanted to be here in person.
So-
No, I understand.
Any vacation I take in August will be the beautiful sunny seaside town of Fairfield.
Vacation,
Vacation.
vacation?
5 kids, we're gonna hit Jennings Beach one day, I'll use the golf course one
Go to
day.
Lake Mohegan,
Oh,
And my vacations are between now and August 3rd, so I'm fine.
After August 17th, I'm gone. So-
Okay, well, this will work, cause it's
Yeah,
right in
it
your
will.
time
August
frame.
8th.
I'm leaving, so the meeting is on the 8th, I'm leaving on the 9th.
Okay,
Oh, okay,
alright,
I hope it all works out good.
And I don't have my calendar here, but you better believe I'm gonna do everything in my power to be there.
Thank you, good job.
Good.
See you back.
I like to see Alex.
do we need to cover anything else?
No, I think,
Motion to adjourn?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.